Welcome back to my channel. I'm AK Mulford, a full-time author and part-time chaos gremlin, sharing with you behind-the-scenes author life and helpful but unhinged writing advice. And today we're talking about juggling two different pen names and writing in two different genres. So I have two different pen names. They're very similar to each other. I'm not trying to hide the fact that they're both me. I write fantasy romance under AK Mulford, and I write romantic comedies and contemporary under Allie K. Mulford. So both are me. They're nearly the same name, really, but I do have them slightly separated for branding purposes so that people know when they're picking up an Allie K. Mulford book that that world's going to be more contemporary. Even if there's magic in it, the people will probably live in the real world and have cell phones and things like that. And then with AK Mulford, that it's going to be completely high fantasy magic, and all of the landscapes are different and different continents and courts and things like that. So first I'm going to talk a little bit about jumping between two different genres and how I keep them tonally different. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about like my marketing decisions and how I deal with like the branding of two different pen names as well. So from the writing perspective, I feel like having a very clear sense of author voice across two different pen names is really important. And for me, I feel like it's almost like the way actors can jump into different accents and different characters, or in the same way a musician can play different genres of music. It's like the vibes are different, right? So I often think quite musically with the way that I want my stories to sound. With fantasy, I feel like it's much more lilting and flowing. I want structurally, there's longer sentences. The wording is a little bit more poetic and lyrical. There's more descriptions. And even though some of my fantasy is also first person POV, the internal dialogue sounds different as well. The tone, I think even when it's funny and lighthearted, is more serious and epic in scope. The words on the page, if they were being read aloud, I'd want them to sound different in the way that they move across the page and the way that the sentences are structured. Whereas with my rom-coms, I feel like they're a lot more upbeat, short, sharp sentences, a little bit more staccato, fast-paced. There's a lot of stream of consciousness that my characters are going like really quickly and kind of having all these like chaotic jumping about thoughts and things like that. So it's much more jaunty and cheeky and lighthearted. The way that that looks on the page is quite different as well. Allie K. Mulford's main characters, their point of view is much more like it's very quick. It's very like, oh my gosh, all these things, and like a little bit more cheeky and jokey and in tone because it's a comedy. Whereas with the fantasy, it's much more kind of heartfelt and stoic. And even when it's funny, there's definitely funny moments in my fantasy. It's still back set against the backdrop of a more epic story. So for me, when I'm sitting down and opening up a manuscript, I'm kind of locking in to whatever the tone is going to be for that story, so that you can very quickly be like, okay, I'm writing fantasy, so it's going to be like, who this, I'm doing a lot of hand motions. If you think of like two different songs or two different accents or two different characters from movies or TV shows, then you can kind of access them quicker. Actors will have different phrases and things that they use to get into an accent so that you can stay loyal to the tone of the story. And for me, that means that I can jump back and forth pretty easily because I'll just remind myself the tone that I'm trying to use for those different things. Now, a lot of that just happens intuitively in my head, but I do think it's valuable if you're just starting out. But for me now, I can jump back and forth. And in fact, I quite like jumping back and forth because it kind of like gives my brain a bit of a reprieve from one tone to jump to the other. And I think actually it makes me a better writer doing both because I have to be that much more clear with what I'm trying to say and the stories I'm trying to tell. And also, I think it just flexes different muscles writing in different kinds of stories. And also, I think it's helpful when you're juggling two genres to have a clear sense of what you want your readers to feel when they're reading each of your stories. My fantasy, I definitely want to like not hurt people, but like make them feel big feelings. There's definitely more of the like epic scope. I want there to be more emotional resonance with the themes of the story as well as the characters and the romance. Whereas with the rom-coms, I want it to be more like focused on the internal character growth and the romance, as well as making sure that I'm delivering laughs and like a lighthearted good time. There's these zany moments that happen within the story. I want to make sure that the readers are getting that lighthearted reprieve from the world, where I want the fantasy to almost be reflective of the real world whilst also taking them to a far off land. So those are some of the things I do to help me balance the tone of both different genres, but how do I juggle them from a business perspective? For me, my marketing is very face-based. You see a lot of me on my social media. It's not just graphics. And so I kind of can benefit from that and leverage that into not needing two separate platforms for my two different pen names. So for people who have two different pen names where they're trying to be anonymous with one of them, they're going to have to be a lot more brand focused, like have really clear fonts and colors. When people see all those things, they know it's that author. They have to be a lot more clearer in what they're conveying genre-wise with their graphics on social media and with their websites and newsletters and things like that. The ones that are more anonymous need to be a lot more precise in their marketing. You can get away with a lot more when it's more your face because people know that it's you behind the stories. I think people benefit regardless from having very clear branding, but for me, my branding is me being like a chaotic person. I have that branding across both of my pen names. I'm a chaos gremlin regardless of where I am. So for me, I don't have two different social media platforms for both of my pen names. I market both of my genres across the same social media handles. I do have separate websites and separate newsletters for both pen names instead of having one across the two. And I just find that makes it easier for people who only want fantasy or people who only want rom-coms. I can use those better for delivering arcs and different things like that. I have the best readers and that they're very loyal. They'll follow me across different genres and I really appreciate that. And also because AK and LEK are very similar, like I'm not trying to hide the fact they're both me. That means that I can just use my same socials for everything. So I'm really all about like keeping it as easy as possible and keeping marketing well within the things that I enjoy doing instead of doing all of the things and burning out on that. Anyway, I really enjoy writing across two different pen names and two different genres. I find that it kind of gets me excited for the next book in both. And I actually have found that I write faster when I'm juggling two things than when I'm focused on one. This is a very ADHD thing. A lot of ADHD people can relate to the fact that they can either juggle like 8 balls in the air or none. Like I can't do one thing at a time. Jumping across the two has helped me across both. It's really helped me refine my storytelling and make me really think about the stories I want to be telling. And also I find it's really fun because I love all the shiny objects and I love challenging myself to try new things. If you have any questions about writing across two different pen names in different genres, like what are the things that I do to make it work, let me know in the comments and I'd be happy to answer them. If you want to see future videos about anything specific to the authoring world, let me know as well, because I love talking about these things. Also, it is totally valid to write in different genres with one pen name. You don't need different pen names for different genres unless you want to. Nowadays, people are really happy to follow authors across all sorts of different genres, so it's up to you if that's something that you're even considering or you want to do. If you want it clearer for branding purposes, or maybe it might be easier contractually with different publishers and things to have different pen names, that means that you can produce more books if you have any like non-competes or something. If you're writing in a different genre with a different pen name, you might be allowed to do that in the same way that you might not be able to under the same pen name. So those are some things to consider as well. I know plenty of authors who write very, very different things all under the same name and under the same marketing umbrella to great success, especially nowadays with social media really serving people things based on their interests rather than from who they're following. People who are into your rom-coms will only get served your rom-com stuff, and people who are into your fantasy will only get served your fantasy stuff. And so you can really have a diverse following across one platform. It's really up to you if you even want to split up into different pen names. Something to consider. It is more work. The more you keep them separate, the more work you have to do across both. So if you want to keep them all under the same, like lots of people do that as well. So yeah, thanks for watching this video and happy writing, friends.